Welcome to another video. So as you can see, I'm at the race course in Wrexham. And the reason why I'm making this video is that I want to give a bit of a counter argument to a lot of the backlash and vitriol the club are getting because of their Hollywood owners and international fame and recognition. And just explain a little bit more about the club really and the rich vein of history. Now, I'm not a Wrexham fan, but I do live in the town. But I'm certainly not a Wrexham fan, so I can be impartial. Obviously, I look out for the results and things because I live here and a lot of friends do support them. But anyway, so I thought I'd do that really. I can understand the cross-border rivals probably turning this video off now, saying, "Oh, I'm not interested." But let's just talk a little bit about this. So, Wrexham were formed in 1864, which makes them the third oldest club in the world. So in terms of heritage, that alone is some statistic. They are the oldest club in Wales, and this ground here, it's the oldest international stadium in the world as well. Holding the first international in 1877, so I mean it goes way, way back. So in terms of the highest attendance ever at this ground, it was in 1957 and there was 34,445, I believe it was, against Manchester United and that great team of Busby Babes. I mean, Wrexham got absolutely trounced. I think it was 5-0, but they got to see that great team before what happened sadly the year after. So in terms of Wrexham then, well, okay. So they didn't actually initially play at the racecourse. They played just around the corner in Roast D, a place called the Recreation Ground, because the ground was actually owned by the cricket club. And they used to have horse racing, hence the racecourse and things like that on there, as well as cricket. There was a bowling green, which has since been replaced with a car park. And the pub, The Turf, which you've probably all seen on that documentary, is actually the only pub that's been built inside the grounds of a club. So there is a plaque out there that celebrates 150 years of Wrexham. It's quite interesting, The Turf, as well, because when it was built, it was on one level, and then they built a grandstand above. And eventually all got amalgamated, but that was more for like a VIP experience for the good people of Wrexham to go and see the horse racing and things. And there was talk at one time that the ground was going to be a municipal airport. So that's a racecourse. Now, the stand on the opposite to where we are at the moment, the Mould Road stand, that was built after the safety regulations changed following the Bradford fire disaster. That was completed in 1999. We're actually at the other side of the ground. I'll see if I can move around just to show you a bit more perspective of where I'm talking about. I think there is a little bit where you can see through, so we'll try that. There's the club shop. I did try filming something earlier, but I think the players were turning up because they're away today. I don't want to film them really. But I don't know if you remember the Leeds one when I walked around Ellen Road, but I pointed out the floodlights being similar. And they are, aren't they? I think. There must be some kind of standard for the Football League. Okay, so this is generally, if you ever see Wrexham play on telly or on YouTube or whatever, you can see the away fans. If you would just step over this now, you'd see that's where they would be, the away fans, in this stand here. Didn't explain that very well, but you know what I mean. The away fans go in here. They used to go in this side stand here, but that seems to be where the Wrexham fans go, the singing Wrexham fans. Okay, so we're at the opposite end of where the cop was at the moment. Now what they've done with the cop is they've created... I'm going to walk right round the ground. There you go, if I can. Oh, I can't. I can if I go this way. Right, bear with me. Yeah, what they've done with the cop in Wrexham is they've knocked down the previous cop, and they did apply for some levelling up funding, but they weren't successful. So it's delayed things a little bit. It's still going ahead, the project, but they've had to put a temporary stand up now, and they've called it the fourth wall, which means more fans can get to see Wrexham, and it adds to the atmosphere. Now, the origins of spy on cop is an Afrikaans word, and it dates back to the Boer War, Second Boer War, when the British forces fought against the South African and Orange State forces, Free State forces, on a hill called Spy on Cop. And the cop Obviously we know about Liverpool Cop, Wrexham Cop, Leeds have a Cop. It's actually named after the steepness of the terrace, because the Spy on Cop was a very steep hill. So 1900, Boer War Battle, Battle of Spy on Cop. That's where it comes from. Quite interesting, I thought. Spion's got an extra E in it. And just to let you know a little link, when I did the walk round Ellen Road at Leeds, I did mention a chippy that has a business also in Whitby. So all my videos are getting linked now. And it's called A Fisherman's Wife on Khyber Pass. And at the top of Khyber Pass, guess what? There's a Spy on Cop. And if you actually look on Spy on Cop on Wikipedia, it does mention it. So there we are. And I just thought it was a local term, really. I didn't think it was a thing. But there you go. It's quite interesting when you do these videos, because you start doing a bit of research and learn all kinds. So there we are. So I'm just walking onto Mould Road now. And I mentioned that stand that was built after the Bradford fire. Well, you can see it now. 1999. So yeah, Wrexham really known as a giant killing cup team. They've beaten Arsenal 2-1. Everyone talks about the Mickey Thomas goal, the free kick, but Steve Watkins, Wrexham born lad, he scored the winner. They won 2-1. They've beaten West Ham. They've beaten Forest away 2 years after Forest were the European champions. They've beaten Borough, Birmingham. They've beaten some top sides, and they've even played in Europe in the Cup Winners' Cup. They played against Porto. Now, they won 1-0 at the racecourse, which was some result really. And in the second leg, they were 3-0 down, I believe, and they came back and they lost the tie 4-3, but went through on away goals, 4-4 it was on aggregate. Well, that's incredible. And they weren't even meant to be playing that year. Shrewsbury actually won the Welsh Cup, even though they're an English club. And they couldn't actually take part in the Cup Winners' Cup. They were ineligible. There we go, I've said the word right this time. I tried on earlier ones and had to stop, but ineligible. There we are. So yeah, I've got quite a bright sun, so I'll try and turn the camera a little bit, just for a second, so we don't get the glare. It's a lovely morning. So yeah, they've had some famous wins. Now, there was a bloke called Alex Hamilton who actually bought the club. He was the chairman, and he bought the club from the Wolverhampton and Dudley Brewery in 2002. Paid 300,000, I think, for the freehold. And so he bought the ground, should I say. We're just going past the turf now that I mentioned earlier. And when this guy bought it, I don't know what his motive was, but I think it was to level the ground, merely, allegedly, I don't know. There's that fourth wall I mentioned. Okay, turf pub again. Morning, you alright? Okay. Yeah, good mate. Just walking round now. Some of you probably recognise Wayne. Well-known local lad. Don't know if I caught him there because I was trying to avoid the sun. But yeah, he's the landlord of the turf. Nice bloke. Yeah, anyway, where was I? Yeah, Alex Hamilton. So, right, this fella came in, and on the same day that he actually bought the club, the freehold of the ground, if you like, he transferred the ownership to one of his companies. Subsequently put the rent up from a peppercorn rent of £1 up to 30,000. And, well, I don't want to say anything untoward on this video. I've got to be careful what I say, but you know, it was very difficult because when the lease was renegotiated, I mean, this is in the public domain, it did give him the option to give the club 12 months notice to actually leave the racecourse, which is unbelievable. And 2 years later, in 2004, he actually facilitated that and he gave them notice. So, I mean, these were really, really tough times. This was 2004. You know, and they were faced with the proposition of actually losing their ancestral home. And then a year later, in 2005, they went down to the Millennium Stadium and in the final, and they beat Southend in the LDV Vans Trophy, the Football League Trophy, and took 20,000 fans. Now, people can say what they like about Hollywood owners and this, that and the other, but they took 20,000 fans when they were in administration. So they deserve what they're getting now, I think, personally. The biggest European win, though, that game against Porto, like I say, I mean, that's incredible. Now, another link. I've just got to remember what I've already told you, obviously. So I'm walking round and I don't want to keep repeating myself. So I've already touched on the Porto win. They did draw 1-1 against Anderlecht as well. They have been in the FA Cup quarter-final a couple of times. They played Burnley and took 15,000 fans to Turf Moor. Another link, Turf Moor. Leeds United, George Graham, when they beat Arsenal 2-1 in '92, he said it was one of his lowest points in football. Mickey Thomas scored that free kick. Mickey Thomas had played for Leeds. George Graham was a Leeds manager. All linked, if you go back. However many degrees of separation. Right, so there we are. So in summary, I actually think that what Wrexham are experiencing now, they deserve. The fans have been right through it. And I think it's a really good thing for the area. I don't know how far this is going to go. I don't know how far they can get up the leagues. Maybe the Championship's their level. I don't know. They have had a little bit of a blip lately. We'll have to see how it goes. But there we are. Just thought I'd talk a little bit about Wrexham and why I think they deserve to be where they are. Thank you for watching. Now, if you did like it, please subscribe to the channel. Now, that means so much because it means I can get out a lot more, certainly, and do more videos. Get some exercise. Stop breathing heavily a bit more by getting maybe a slightly better mic. And, you know, just move things on a little bit. Right, there's me waffling again. There we are. Lovely sky today. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this, but if I did, I apologise. But I just want to finish off by saying that the High Court actually deemed that it was unfair what Alex Hamilton did in terms of the transfer. It wasn't done properly, it was improperly done. That's the terminology. So that's how Wrexham was saved, and obviously it was sent into administration. And I'll do one last closing shot because one of the owners was the university, actually, which is next door. And there was a company as well called Wrexham Village Limited, which created some accommodation for students as well. I'll finish off with a little shot of that sign there. So yeah, I mean, I could have talked for another hour really, but I just didn't want it to be too long. But hopefully that's given you a good insight into why Wrexham deserve the success they're having. I'm going. Cheers.